So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use FTP to upload files to a web server. So if you're on, we're going to use a free software called FileZilla. This is free. You can download it, I think, from filezilla.org. Or maybe it's mozilla.org. But if you just go to Google and search FileZilla, you'll get this free software that you can download. And what this is going to do is allow us to basically, quote, talk to the web server. So if you have a website, the website's hosted on a server, and on that server there's a bunch of files, and those files are what the website's created from. So an internet browser will go onto your hosting account and search through the files to basically see your website. So for instance, if we install WordPress onto a server, that's basically just a bunch of files that get installed onto a server. And so you can use the WordPress admin panel, which we see here. You can use this to upload plugins and to install themes. And you can do that fine, but if you want to do it faster and you want to have a little more control with things, or say you have an image and it doesn't look quite right and you want to replace the image, but you don't want to have to go through and then go and re-upload a new media file to your WordPress site as you're building it, you can actually use FTP to just directly replace the image quickly. So I'm going to show you here is how to use FTP. So this is basically like the back door. So when you're using FileZilla, it's just one of the free programs. There's actually several, but it's the one I like the best. And it's basically the back door into your hosting account. So what you do is you enter in a new website. So let's just look at one for example. So there's a site manager where I have all these different websites set up that I have access to. Now we can look at one that we're familiar with, which is my own website, techdivamedia.com. So I'm going to select it, and here there's the FTP details. Now this is something you would get from your web hosting account, the FTP details. So and a lot of times it's ftp.thedomainname.com, right? So that's often what it is. It's not always what it is. So you just have to get those details from the host. So hopefully you would just have those details before you get started. But you'd enter that here, and then you want to type in the login type. You want to type your username and the password that goes with the FTP details. Again, this is all going to be provided for you by the hosting account, so you should have this information to start with. This is just the credentials. But you would enter in the password, the username here, and it's usually, this is the username in this case, and usually it's the username at and then the domain. But not always. It's kind of different. Every single hosting account, whether it's Bluehost or HostGator or whatever, each one's a little different. So anyway, you'll have these credentials provided for you, but you would enter them here, say if you're going to set up and work with a new website, and then you would just hit connect. And you'll notice up here, it's now connecting to the server. And now what we're looking at over here is all the files on my server. Now, I have a lot of files because I have multiple websites installed on my web server, but that's how you can see it. So, for instance, you can see my main website is techdivamedia.com. And so the main website has WordPress files, and the WordPress files start with WP. So WP admin, WP content, WP includes. All of these are my WordPress files for my main website because they're on the main directory. And all of this is the WordPress stuff that's WP that's set up. You normally won't ever touch that stuff. That's what's installed automatically. When WordPress is installing on a server, it's putting all of these files onto a server. That's what's happening. Now these other ones, now if you're familiar with installing websites and subdirectories, that's what we're doing. We create a subdirectory and we install the website. So here is a subdirectory called Uplevel Outsourcing, and it actually is the website for outsourcing done for you because we installed it in the Uplevel Outsourcing folder because that just happened to be what the name was at the time. And so there's also, like, for instance, I have my staff, the staff team blog, right, or the staff blog. It's here. So we installed it in staff, so it's techdivamedia.com/staff. And if we look in here, this is all the files for that WordPress installation, right? So it really gives us a look at the back door of what's on the server. So there's a lot of stuff here. Some of this I could probably take off. The After 40 Makeover, this is for vitalmakeover.com. And so we installed it in a directory called After 40 Makeover because that's what we were naming it at the time. But inside of it is the WordPress files for that WordPress site. So the folder name doesn't necessarily, I mean, that's just the name that we gave it, right? So as you might know, like up-level outsourcing changed to outsourcing done for you. I later created this folder, but there's nothing in it called outsourcing done for you. There's actually nothing in there. So we could actually delete that folder from the server because there's nothing in there. Love Doves Gifts. This is another WordPress site, right? So all of this, these are just WordPress sites. Now, what we want to do, say I want to change the logo for techdivamedia.com. So let's just go to techdivamedia.com as an example. And say we just want to update the logo because, you know, for some reason we're changing a color or something, which I actually just did this the other day. So we could do it the traditional way, which is to log into WordPress, go into the theme settings, go into, like, it's built on a UDesign theme, so you go into the UDesign theme settings, you find the place where you can upload the logo file, you upload it there, and then you hit save, and then it refreshes, and then you have it here. You could do all that, sure, but if you want a shortcut, you can actually, so here's the image. Let's just, we want to see the image. Actually, I don't know if you can see the image, but the image is right. If I click and drag, you can see what the image is. And that's actually probably not the best example because we can't see what the file is, actually. I wonder if we can file. I'm just doing an inspect element, and I'm going to see, here it is. So this is the file. So I did an inspect element. I hit right click and it went to inspect element. You could do view source. This is actually not the greatest example because the logo file is a little bit hidden. But in this case, we can see where the logo file is. It's showing me it's located at techdivamedia.com/wp-content/uploads/logo short white2.png. That's the logo file. Now, in other cases, you might be like for this one. If I right click on this and I click on view image, for instance, now I have the image in another window. It's showing me here in the URL, this is the location, techdivamedia.com/wp-content/upload/2013/08 background techdivamedia-optin.jpg, right? That's a long domain or long URL, but that's taking us to the location of this image file. So that's actually a better example. So, and that's only just because this particular theme is set up that way. So let's say we wanted to update this. This is just a better example because most sites, if you want to update the image, you would just go to view image to see where it's located. So say we want to change the text on this image and we've edited it in Photoshop and now we want to replace it. So we just go to view image, we'd figure out where it's located. And now knowing that it's located there, we'll go over to FileZilla and we'll look. So where is it located? We're looking here, it's in WP content. So we're on the main directory, which is techdivamedia.com. We found WP content, and the next one is uploads. So uploads, see how it's growing here across the top. 2013, 08, and then we're looking for background techdivamedia opt-in. There we go, there it is. So we want this one because that's the file URL. If we look up here in our browser and we go to the end, it's that one. See, this is the file. So here's the file. So if I download this, so this is my desktop over here. So if I want to download it, I can just click and drag, or I can right click and click download, and it's going to download it to my desktop. And now it's on my desktop. So right here it is. Now I can open it if I want, and it's going to open, and here it is. So here's the file. So this is the file. It's actually on my desktop now, right? So now, say I, created a new one in Photoshop, and I saved it with the same name to my desktop, then I would just click on it and I would drag and I would put it back and I would say overwrite. I want to overwrite the file and click OK. And then that would overwrite the file that's on here and replace this image. So if I had replaced it with an updated image, this image would then be replaced and then it's done. So that's it. So all you have to do really is find where your image is located, and then update the image in Photoshop, save it with the same name, and then go use FileZilla to log onto the server, go into the folder where it's located, and then just upload the file off your desktop straight to that folder. And that will update the image. Now, let's say we're installing a new WordPress site, and we want to install the theme and the plugins. Well, same thing, the same idea, we just got to know where to put it. So with WordPress sites, the files for the theme, the plugins, are always in the, I think it's the uploads. Yeah, it's in the uploads folder, and I believe it is, no, I'm sorry, it's in the themes folder. So it's in the WP content folder. Let's just go back to the main domain. So say we just logged in for the first time. Actually, we'll do this one fresh and new because this is a brand new site. So what we'll do is we'll go to the site manager. It's under File, Site Manager. We'll go to New Site, and here we're going to type in this new site. So this particular new site, we're going to name it, and it's Bed and Okay, so that's the name of the site. Now the host. Now I have this information that was given to me from the hosting account. So I'm just going to copy and I'm just going to paste it in. You'll normally have these credentials. I'm going to change the login type to normal. The username I have provided for me, so I'm just going to copy the username, paste it in there, and then the password, again, I have that provided. So I'm going to copy it, paste it in there, and I'll hit connect. And then it's just going to ask me if I want to establish it in a new tab or kill the old connection. So I'm going to establish it in a new tab. I'll hit OK. And now it's going through to connect to the server. And see, now we had an error. So this is when we start to have to play with what the credentials are. So what we can do is go back, and if you have that error, you might try playing with the username. Got it. So I realized I actually had the wrong credentials. That would help, right? So let's use the credentials, the accurate credentials. So I'm just going to copy and paste the password. And so it's the number. This is just happens to be, in this case, it's a number, right? So every hosting account is different. You just don't know. You're just going to have to get that from the hosting account. But I'm going to click connect. And now, okay, awesome. So now we've connected. So now, because we've connected, now what we want to do is access the WordPress site, because what we want to do is, say, install plugins and a theme, right? So we'll go in here. This is the website. These two backups are not the actual site. You'll have to go to here, which is pretty obvious if you look at the folder. Sometimes you just have to click around to see where the WP folders are, but here we find them, right? So you could click around to the other folders, but it's pretty obvious this is the website folder. And here's what we're looking for, the WP folders. That's the WordPress files. And what you're going to go to is the content file. This is always, always, always in WordPress files. The theme and the plugins are located in the WP content folder. So you'll double click that and you'll find it. So here's your plugins, here's your themes. So for plugins, you'll go to plugins and now you'll see there's only one plugin that's actually in here. So what we want to do then is add a plugin. So normally when you're installing a WordPress plugin, you first have to download, so we have like our list of plugins. So first you have to go visit the plugin site, and you go over and you download the WordPress plugin. And so you download basically a zip file. Let's see if we can find one that actually loads. So you normally get a zip file, right? So here, for instance, you'll have the zip file. Oh my goodness, I can't even find it. Let's just, usually what I search for is WP plugin and we'll say contact form 7. And that, yeah, usually we want to find it off of WordPress.org. It's just easier. And so we'll click, and now here it is. This is the latest version, right? And when you're searching for plugins, it's going to look something like this. You're going to download this, and it's going to be a zip file. So we'll download it to the desktop. Now, it's on our desktop, and what we want to do is, here it is on our desktop, we want to open up the zip file because you can't upload directly zip files to the server. So now we've got this folder, right? So it's on our desktop as a folder. We go to FileZilla, we refresh the view of our desktop, and go back to our desktop. So here I'm just going to go up in the file list and go back to the desktop. So here's a view of my desktop. And here's the folder that we unzipped. Now I'm just going to drag it in here. And now it's installing the plugin, right? So it takes a second or two for all of the files to go up, to get uploaded. You can notice here what files are getting installed. There's 120 to go, 118, 117, 160, right? So you can see it transferring. So it's uploading the plugin. Now you can do multiple plugins at the same time. So you could do multiple folders. You would just be uploading you know, 2, 3, 4, you keep dragging them in there and it'll just keep uploading them as you go. I actually have a folder on my computer that's just specifically for WordPress plugins. So if I scroll down, I'll find I have a folder called plugins, and it's where I just keep, here it is, I just keep all the different folders. So there's contact form 7, right? So I keep a lot of the ones that I use on a regular basis, and then I can just upload them. So it's a quick way to do it, but normally if you don't have it downloaded, like you might download the standard plugins that we always use, you might just download those to your computer so you always have them. But let's say, for instance, we want the 404 to start plugin. So we'll go search WP plugin 404 to start. We'll just do this while the other one's uploading. We'll click here. We'll download the zip file. 404 to start.zip. Okay, now it's on the desktop, so we'll view it. Here it is on the desktop. We're going to unlock it or unzip it. There it is. So now we go back to FileZilla, and we'll go back to our desktop, and we'll hit refresh, right-click and hit refresh. And now we have the 404 to start folder. So now we're just going to drag that up here too. So now we're installing another plugin at the same time. And it's just going to get stuck in the list down here. And it'll eventually show up. But you can go ahead and, while they're transferring, keep looking for the other ones. So let's see, what's another one we want to install? We have on our list of plugins, we want to do the Google authorship widget. So WP plugin Google authorship. Oops, I spelled that wrong, but I think we should be able to get there. And there's several of them here, so we'll see which one has the most downloads, because that's usually, oh, this is a tag. This is usually, we want to find the one that has the most downloads. So Google Plus authorship, there we go. Here we go. So looks like it's got 61,000 downloads. Let's check the other one, Google Author Link. 91,000. So this is probably the one that I would download because it's got 91,000 and 4.6 out of 5 stars versus the other one that has 91,000. The other one had 61,000. We're going to download this one because it has more downloads. It's probably more popular for a reason. So I usually go with the one that has the most downloads, and it has to have good ratings, of course. So it's got decent ratings, so we'll just check it. Now we'll unlock it. Here's the folder. We'll go over to FileZilla. We're on the desktop, so we'll hit refresh to get a fresh view. There's the folder. We'll drag it up there. And so that's going to install the next plugin. And so that's how you install your plugins. Now the same thing goes for the themes. If you want to go into themes while this is installing, you can click around. So say I'll go into themes. There's the 3 themes that are installed. So if we want to install a different one, say the UDesign theme, I actually have that on my computer, so it's a zip file that we have. So when I open up the zip file, there's a folder once I've uploaded it, or I've unlocked the zip file for the theme, and I'm just going to drag it in there. And that's going to install the theme in WordPress. So once it's done, now this actually takes a while because there's about 500 files, right, to install the theme. But you can go be doing other things while that's working. And then once that's done, I can go back to the site. I'm not going to refresh it right now because it's in the process, but I can go back to this, and then all the plugins will be installed and the theme will be installed. So the reason this is faster, while it might seem counterintuitive at first, you might think, gosh, it seems like longer and more complicated. It's actually faster once you get the hang of it because you can upload a bunch of, or all your plugins at the same time. You can just keep clicking and dragging. And you can do them all at the same time rather than having to wait. See if we just go back to our plugins. Here we go. So here's, each one of these have now been installed. So rather than having to do it one at a time from the WordPress admin panel, we can do it here. Same way if you want to delete plugins. Say you have a WordPress site and it's got a bunch of plugins that aren't using. You can delete them this way in the WordPress admin panel by selecting them and hit delete. Or you can go over here, you log in via FTP, select the folder, right-click, and hit delete, and boom, it's gone. It'll delete all the files. Same way with deleting extra themes, because you don't want more than 1 or 2 themes. You really only want 1 theme because it's more vulnerable for hackers. If there's tons and tons of files on the server, it's more vulnerable for hackers. So what I'm actually going to do is delete the other themes that are here, because we just don't need them. So I believe the one that's currently activated I'm not going to delete that one yet because that might screw up the system because it's currently activated, so I don't want to delete the one that's current. But there's 2 other themes that are currently installed that we don't need. So the 2014 is activated. There's 2 others we're not even using. We're going to delete all 3 of them eventually because right now we're installing UDesign. So eventually we're going to delete all 3 of these. But right now I'm just going to delete the 2 that aren't activated. So that's 2013. I'll hit delete. And then I will go up to 2012. And it's just going to show you all the files. So I'll go back to the themes. And 2012. Well, actually, I can't seem to get back to it while it's deleting the thing. So it's just going to run and do its thing in the background, right? But this is just an overview of how you access the server files. And it might look a little overwhelming at first, but I invite you to play with replacing an image file. So again, to do that, you would just go to a website and you'd find an image on the page, right? You'd right-click to view the image so you can see where the image is located. So you're looking for the directory that file is stored in on the server. And so once you find the location of where that file is stored in on the server, which is up here in our URL once we're viewing the image, then you know this is just a map, and it's just directing you how to find it on the server when you log into it with FileZilla, and you just follow the file path to get to the file. So I hope this helped. I know this is kind of a long tutorial, but it gives you a real good view of how FTP works, and what that stands for is File Transfer Protocol. And it's just another way, it's like a backdoor and a more advanced way of accessing files on a server. And this can work for any website, not necessarily WordPress. It's any website. This is how you access the files. So if you're coding, you're uploading, say, an HTML file and CSS files and things like that, you're accessing your web server this way, and you're just directly uploading the files to the server, because in a website that doesn't have WordPress, you don't have the WordPress admin panel to guide you. You have to do it traditionally. So this is sort of the traditional, more advanced, old school way of updating web files. But it actually gives you a lot more control. And honestly, I like it better because it's a lot faster once you get used to it. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, let me know.